yet. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. So in this live stream, we're going to be talking about US boots on the ground, how I see that being facilitated. I'm going to talk about how I would put US boots on the ground, how I would potentially move into that southern coast of Iran. I'm also going to be in this video dispelling a lot of myths because, again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be going against all the mainstream media. Again, I'm putting my neck out there. I'm going against every mainstream media article right now. They're all saying, oh, the United States bunker busters are going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to be catastrophic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go now against what they're all saying, like I always do, guys. I always go against what they're saying, and I'm going to tell you what I feel is going to happen. I'm going to tell you guys how I feel this conflict's going to develop. I'm going to tell you, and we're going to dispel a lot of myths right now, ladies and gentlemen, about these so-called bunker-busting munitions. And I'm going to show you guys how they're not going to be that effective in this scenario. Okay, guys, they're just not going to be that effective in this scenario. And then we're going to talk through how I would move my troops into the south coast of Iran, and then how I would subsequently push them up through the country, taking and holding that ground until I reach Tehran. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, boots on the ground is the only way that that anyone really can guarantee that any nuclear facilities or any facilities in general are under control. They've been neutralized. They've stopped working. So if we're looking like that's going to happen, if we're looking like Donald Trump potentially came out yesterday and he said, well, we don't want to do it, but if that's the only way to do it, maybe we got to do it. I don't know. Like, if we're understanding that, and again, something that if you guys want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, the laws that were passed that Donald Trump is relying on now are laws that were passed under Biden. So I don't know. Maybe they're all in lockstep. Maybe there is some sort of one world government and they're all behind the scenes pulling strings like puppeteers in their black suits with dark blue ties. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we are on right now. I guess we are on. Can you guys do me a favor? You know that thing I asked you? Like, press the buttons, the like, the follow, the subscribe, the bell notification. We are double streaming, guys. Listen, I tried to pay my £11 to Elon Musk this morning. I couldn't remember my password for my email. I'm like, password? And he reset all my passwords. So so they said they're going to send me a reset link in, they said they're going to send me a reset link in, what is it, in like 6 hours or something. But anyway, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we will have that on by tonight. Anyway, right, I'm just going to jump up and get the comments from, TikTok. Right, so, Roy's joined. So many people joining. April is saying, morning, April Lee, morning back to you. Andrea's VB, user in a load of numbers. Marie Gordon's joined. April is saying, go and get a coffee. Yeah, guys, listen, I just had to run into the kitchen. Oh, and thank you for the crown, Coral Reefing. Thank you for the crown. And if you're watching on YouTube, you have no idea what just happened. Right, yeah, so I just had to run into the house. And I've got myself a cold coffee. I thought, you know what? I thought I'd drink it cold anyway. I'm just gonna roll with a cold coffee, ladies and gentlemen. Coral Reefing is saying, we're here. He is. Hope everyone is well. I hope you're well too, Coral Reefing. Linda Lewis saying, hello, Sean and all. Debbie Doobs, morning all. Morning to Jody Lee. Morning to Gene Prothrow. Good morning, Gene Prothrow. I've not seen you for a while. Four Paws, Debbie 1973. Watching BBC, they talk crap, says Coral Reefing. Guys, listen, okay? Right now, the internet is an absolute wash with not even so-called experts. People who are just, they're telling you what's happening now. They're literally looking at the news, putting a screenshot behind them and saying what's happening. In this live stream, I'm going to tell you guys how I would get boots on the ground in Iran. And again, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I would suspect that there are only a few ways to do it. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, we had a few people on the chat saying you cannot invade Iran because of the ground. I'm like, really? Like, I'm pretty sure that that's not the case. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that today, ladies and gentlemen. But let me get down these comments. Yeah, but sorry. So, Coral Reef in here. In fact, let me pin this comment, guys. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching, or you're watching later on when this is being recorded, a comment here from one of the guys on TikTok is watching BBC News. They talk CRAP, a load of crap. They do, because they don't know what they're talking about. They're an anchor, they read a piece of paper, and that's all they know. So all the news at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, all the news at the moment is talking about the United States using bunker-busting munitions. And in this live stream, I am going to let you guys, I'm going to talk through this, guys, and I'm going to let you guys know how ineffective those bunker-busting munitions are going to be. Right, morning, like, guys, everybody who said good morning, I'm saying good back. I'm saying morning, morning. I'm saying morning, right back to everybody who's saying good morning. So many people. And guys, listen, if you're on and if you're watching this on TikTok or YouTube and you've not done so already, please hit that, hit the follow button, the subscribe button, whatever buttons it is that help this channel grow. Right, Coral Reefin again is saying all mainstream media doing is glorifying this, making it more appealing for support from the public. Yeah, and one of the questions I got last night was, one of the questions somebody, and do you know what, I think I should have probably said this at the beginning of the video. One of the questions that was in the chat last night, whose side are you on? And that's a very primitive question. Whose side are you on? And I'll give you guys the same answer that I gave last night. I'm on the side of no sons and daughters not going back to their parents. I'm on the side of no fathers and mothers not going back to their children. I'm on the side of, you know, we don't need wars in this world, right? We really don't need wars in this world. And what I'm on the side of is exploration. I'm on the side of innovation. We can still have that competitivity. We can still say, you know what, America wants to be the greatest. No, Iran wants to be the greatest. No, Russia wants to be the greatest. No, China wants to be the greatest. We can still have that competitivity that drives us forward, that drives us to innovate. But rather than having wars every 80 years, why don't we go into space? Why don't we channel that creative competitivity, that creative aggression? Why don't we channel that into exploration, you know, moving into space, taking the resources that are in the cosmos? It just drives me absolutely insane, ladies and gentlemen. Drives me absolutely insane. I have a lot of friends who've been transcended into beams of light through various conflicts on this planet. And so, and I do keep an ear to the ground when I'm thinking about this. And when I look at the places that we've been and the stuff we've done, 10 years after we leave, it's back to how it was. And you just think, what was the point in all that? Literally, what was the point in all that? So anyway, guys, when people say, Sean, what side are you on? I'm on nobody's side. I'm on my own side, actually. I'm on my family side. I'm on the side of looking after my family. That's what side I'm on. Debbie Doobs is saying, let's get to 50,000. Keep tapping that screen. And if you guys are watching on YouTube later on, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But just touch your nose. If I say tap the screen, guys, and you're watching on YouTube, just touch your nose. It's cool. Danny Boy is saying, nobody wants wars. Governments send troops to wars while they sit at home safe. Yeah, they do. And do you know what, Danny Boy? So let me just pin this comment on. I'll come on to the YouTube comments in a second. So Danny Boy is saying, nobody wants wars. Governments send troops to wars while they sit at home safe. Yeah, I'm gonna add to that as well. So nobody wants wars. You know what? Listen. I was in the parachute regiment for a long time. I may think there are caveats to that, but I'll go with that. Nobody wants wars. Government sends troops to wars while they sit at home safe. Yeah, they do. Not only do they sit at home safe, but I would say the government sit at home safe, rubbing their hands together, thinking about the legal cases against the troops that they've just sent to war. Can you imagine how absurd that is, guys, and how twisted it is? Right, lads. Go over there to that war. Go over there to that war and go and do what you need to do in that war. Oh, okay, right. When you come back, we're going to take you all to court for things that you may or may not have done. I mean, there was a politician. Listen, guys, if you're watching from another country, There was a politician in the United Kingdom who, let me just get this, because I need to fact check this. I need to fact check this. Hang on. It may have been a UK politician. It may have not. No, it wasn't. Right, guys, listen. If you, it was this year. There was a, maybe it wasn't a politician. Maybe it was a legal company. Yes, okay, right, I am right, guys, I am right. Right, so this is, okay, right. Right, so former lawyer pleads guilty to, yeah. So, right, guys, listen, this is how insane the situation is right now, okay? I'm just going to read you this from, this is from the BBC. This is from the BBC. I'm just looking at it now, guys. Okay, so we send our young men and women. We send our young men and women overseas. Right. I'm just going to read you this from the BBC. This is from the 1st of October last year. Former lawyer pleads guilty to fraud over Iraq war crimes. Former human rights lawyer Phil Shiner, he needs a Shiner, has pleaded guilty to 3 counts of fraud linked to claims made against British Iraq war veterans. Shiner, 67, appeared at Southwark Crown Court on Monday, where he entered guilty pleas, the National Crime Agency said. The former boss of public interest lawyers was struck off by the Solicitors Regulation Act in 2017 for pursuing false claims against British troops. The head of the NCA, so I'm not going to read you the whole article, guys. He never saw time in jail. He just got struck off. I think he got a suspended sentence. But can you imagine that now? Like, right now, go over there, ladies and gentlemen. Go over there, guys, and fight that war. Make sure you win. Because when you guys get back, we're going to send you all. We've got some legal teams waiting for you. Can you imagine how absurd it is? And people wonder, and people wonder why the military recruitment is falling. People wonder why military recruitment is falling when we are funding absolute. Can I call him a scumbag? I don't know if I can call him a scumbag on TikTok, although I could probably call him whatever I wanted on YouTube, which is why we are double streaming, ladies and gentlemen. So if you've not followed us on both channels, please do. Right, where are we? Yeah, Joshua Harrison is saying Afghanistan is a prime example. We sent troops to fight the Taliban. Oh, hang on. Yeah, listen. Yeah, exactly. So Joshua Harrison there is saying we sent troops to defeat the Taliban. And then as soon as we left, the Taliban are back in. So yeah, that, you know, and Joshua Harris is saying, so all those troops that were transcended to beams of light, you know, it seems like it was for nothing. It's hard to disagree with that statement, Joshua Harrison. It's hard to disagree with that statement. Right, guys, listen, let me, right, I'm just going to jump over to YouTube, guys, okay? Just going to jump over to YouTube. Chris White is saying morning. I'm saying morning right back to you. Adam Carrigan, good morning, Adam Carrigan. It seems each day we're getting closer and closer to all-out war. Listen, I would say all-out war is already happening. I'm going to talk through, after I've got these comments that are on YouTube now, I'm going to talk through how I would, what we're going to go with first. We're going to go first with bunker busters, or we're going to go first with, we'll go first with bunker busters, because that is the logical step. Because people think that you can take down these deep underground military bases with bunker busters. You can't. Not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's not on the cards. So yeah, we're going to talk about that later. Chris White is saying morning to all Ravens and Ravenettes. S. Devlin is saying morning. Vinny Holmes, Mocha Rav, UK Prepper. Good morning, UK Prepper. Matt Barr, Alex Reed, Maxi. Iran is a beautifully located country. It is a beautiful breather. It is a beautifully that's a tongue twister. It is a beautifully located country, and it is a beautiful country. Although, ladies and gentlemen, it's not uninvadable, and we're going to be talking about that afterwards. What country also has rabies? And he's saying Israel, a coincidence? Paul Sullivan here on YouTube is saying, what country also has rabies? Question mark. Israel, coincidence. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. If you could elaborate on that, I don't know what that means. Paul Sullivan again is saying, do you think the UK will call for emergency war powers? Not with regards to what's happening in the Middle East. Not with what's happening in the Middle East, guys. Not with what's happening in the Middle East. Potentially with what will happen after the Middle East in Eastern Europe. Yeah, Paul Sullivan. So I don't know what that means. So the UK has rabies and Israel has rabies. I don't know. I don't know what the connection is there. And then Alex Reed is saying the lady was in Morocco, Paul, but was from the UK. Right, guys. I don't know what we're talking about here with the rabies. I don't know what we're talking about with rabies, guys. There's something going on YouTube about rabies. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna until I get more information about that, I'm just gonna continue with the live stream because, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot to get through. So, bunker busters. All the mainstream media right now, they're all slavering of the mouth about, is Donald Trump going to get involved in it? Is he going to put bunker busters, the US bunker busters? Are they going to be flying sorties and doing like bunker busting stuff? Well, guys, look, contrary to what all the mainstream media are saying right now, these bunker busters are going to be vastly ineffective in Iran. Why? First of all, then it's not as easy to use a bunker buster as people think. So first of all, if you think about heavy layers of concrete, you know, a really thick layer of concrete, you can have an explosion you can have an explosion on top of concrete, and the explosion will follow the path of least resistance. So that will go outwards. It really won't, like, I fired you know, like, I don't know if you guys know, you know, like a 66. I don't know if you guys know what a 66 is. It's a shoulder-held rocket launcher thing. It's got high explosive, and it's called high explosive anti-tank, and it's 66 millimeters. It's what people put on their shoulder and fire like that. I've fired quite a few of those into buildings. On ranges, totally safe, ladies and gentlemen, just as demonstration. Now, they hardly have any effect on a building. They just make the outside a little bit scorched. What you need to do, you need to get that explosives bedded into the concrete. So that means you have to have some sort of delayed fuse or some sort of strike capability or strike capacity, and that has to be rammed into that concrete. Now, the problem here is, once you bed things deep underground and there's earth on top, that earth is it's got a certain amount of dynamics to it. I don't know if dynamics is a word. Whatever, I'm a fully qualified English gentleman. It is my birthright to make up words. So what I mean is, it's fluid. I think fluid's a better word. So when you cause an explosion on sand, on soil, on whatever debris, that becomes that starts to move about. So when the next bunker buster comes down, you're getting pressure from the outside pushing in, and the more pressure pushing in on the outside, that takes out the speed of that bunker buster as it comes down. Now, those bunker busters, again, they have to hit at an absolute perfect angle, guys. I mean, we've all seen videos on YouTube and penetrative depths. These are all promotional videos. These are all promotional videos from the manufacturers. So the manufacturers will get, you know, they will get a thick piece of concrete. They'll get a thick piece of concrete, you know, and then they'll know exactly where it is, and they'll fly an aircraft over, or a helicopter maybe, whatever it is, you know, and they'll fire it at the right angle, at the right trajectory, and the right, well, it should be angle, at the right temperatures, and that will, you know, that will make do rounds complete. That will fire for effect, and that will achieve the desired effect. Now, the problem here is, in the real world, pilots are under stress. they're getting shot at. They're having to make evasive maneuvers. As that plane's coming in, it's under a lot of pressure, right? So when he drops his munition, a fraction of a second early, a fraction of a second late, if the AI is not targeting properly, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And if you don't get a first strike, the debris that go on top of that actually slow you down, because those debris are fluid and they stop the bunker buster. And again, there's only a certain depth that these bunker busters can go to. And I'm going to say right now, ladies and gentlemen, what I've been saying for over a year. If I was Iran, and I'm not Iran, but if I was, I would have looked at the air superiority that was put in over Iraq 2003, and I would have said, yeah, I ain't playing with that. I can't play that game. None of my air defenses, no air defenses in the world can sustain that. I mean, look how small Israel is, guys. And within 48 hours, they've totally overwhelmed the air defenses of Iran. So can you imagine what the US Air Force could do? Anyway, so what I would do, where you've got like a mountain, imagine this is a mountain and this is ground level. I would dig underneath the mountain and I would put my underground bases. I would start digging them underneath the mountain. So rather than out in a patch of desert where everybody can see, I would dig underneath the mountain. So first of all, you've got to get down that mountain. You've got your bunker buster has to penetrate that mountain. I don't know, guys. Maybe they've got mountain penetrators. I would suspect not. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, but sure, they'll just strike at the base of the mountain. Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't have my base anywhere near the entrance. I wouldn't have my base anywhere near the entrance. You can have the entrance at the base of a mountain. The actual base could be 3, 4, 5, 10, 30, 50 kilometers away. So yes, you can see the entrance, but where's the actual base? And this is why I'm confident that any bunker busters are going to be all bunker busters that are known to me certainly would be all those bunker busters would be absolutely ineffective, guys. All right, if they're working on known physics, which I'm assuming they are, I don't think they've got any like plasma, like secret alien tech with neutrino bunkers, because obviously a neutrino would be able to penetrate any bunker, but it wouldn't be able to do anything when it got there. So unless they figured out how to weaponize neutrinos, and maybe they have, I would say that all bunker busters are going to be ineffective in this conflict. So now we understand that, guys. Now we know that physics has not changed since good old Isaac Newton. So now we understand that bunker busters doing this from the air isn't going to be an option. You can't do it from the air, right? Let's just tick that box. Okay, what's the next option? Right, well, do we actually need to do the job? Well, we've started it, so we kind of need to complete it, because if we don't complete it, then the repercussions are going to be worse. So we need to complete this job now. So the only way, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, and you know what, my opinion is the only way to complete this task is to put US boots on the ground. Why US boots on the ground? Because the Israelis don't have the capacity, they don't have the numbers, they don't have the kit, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the amphibious assault craft. So it has to be a US-led conflict, guys. It has to be a US-led conflict. So right, I'll just get these. Right, there's a fly in here. There's a fly. Sorry, I'm not gonna. If there's a wasp, I would have gone full John Wick. But it's a fly, so I'm just gonna let that. I might spray some fly spray in a bit. Right, so I'm going to come onto the comments now, guys. I'm going to come onto the comments on TikTok. I'm going to do the comments on YouTube, and then I'll talk about how I would initiate boots on the ground in Iran. I have spent a lot of time in that region, guys. I know the area. I've spent a lot of time in Oman. Right, anyway. Right, April is right. Okay, so there's some people talking about the rabies thing. Hang on. Hang on. I missed a load of comments. Right, Danny Boy is saying, still waiting to hear from my hearing loss claim 1.5 years later. You what? What? Who said that? Danny Boy, I have tinnitus as well, my friend. It's like, I don't know if you guys like know what tinnitus is, but with tinnitus, I find quite a lot of 50 cal rounds. And they just take your hearing. So my ears, this one, when I'm laid at bed at night, this one goes, ooh, and this one goes, And it's fantastic. It's like a friend that never leaves me. Yeah, it's just one of those things you have to learn to live with. Debbie Doobs is saying there's planes leaving for Oman. Yeah, listen, guys, Oman is going to be a key country moving forwards. And I will come onto that shortly. Danny Boy, I think Friday there will be a big day in the US and Iran history. Could be right, Danny Boy. Listen, don't forget, things happen on a Friday. This particular Friday is the summer solstice. So esoterically, it would make sense for something to happen this Friday. Debbie Doobs is saying, if rabies became airborne, that's the zombie apocalypse. Oh, guys, look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I'm like, right now, I'm at a stage in my life, and I'm just like, can't we just have the zombie apocalypse? Nobody has to pay their bills. We can all maraud in little groups of like Dunbar numbers, make little settlements, go out, fight zombies, come back, raise livestock, grow food, and have little settlements. Can't we just have a zombie apocalypse? Oh. Anyway, April here is saying a woman transcended to a beam of light of rabies in the UK after going on holiday. That's what they mean. Right, okay, listen, guys, I had no idea about this rabies thing, but I'll go on to the YouTube comments in a minute. Daniel Payne is saying, I've started digging a trench with my eyelids. Yeah, that's a phrase people use in the army. If you're laid down on the floor, start digging with your eyelids. Debbie Doobs is saying, surely the Ayatollah has to surface at some point. Do you know what? I mean, Saddam Hussein, I think Saddam Hussein was hiding for like 7 years or something. Danny Boy on TikTok saying they've been watching too much Top Gun 2 Maverick. Yeah, look, guys, that's in response to these bunker busters. I'll say it now. I keep saying it through the live stream. The bunker busters are going to be relatively ineffective in Iran. That's not to say that bunker busters aren't ineffective on busting bunkers, but this is not a bunker that we're talking about, guys. What we're talking about now is state-sponsored projects dug deep underneath mountains. It's just not going to happen from the air, guys. It's not going to happen from the air. Debbie Doobs is saying Tusi reported planes leaving for Oman. I like Tusi TV. I like Tusi. Sarah Marie Gen X is saying, good morning, Coral Reef. And he's saying, it's giving people false hope, saying US are going to end this war with a bomb. Yeah, I'm going to pin this, guys. I'm just going to pin this. Yeah, listen, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who thinks right now, anybody who thinks that this conflict can be solved from the air, it's just not going to happen, guys. It is not going to happen. This conflict in Iran cannot and will not be solved from the air, by the air. There's no, so even the ones with the mushroom cloud, ladies and gentlemen, I would say they would be wholly ineffective in this conflict. And then Coral Reefin is saying, I'd rather an alien apocalypse than a zombie apocalypse. Really scare me a lot more than aliens. Listen, guys, what is it? What are we out with? Are we out with, would people prefer an alien apocalypse or a zombie apocalypse? I think personally we're heading towards an artificial intelligence apocalypse, but who knows? Right, I'm going to jump over to the, YouTube comments. In fact, I'm going to caffeinate. Should I caffeinate myself? Right, hang on. Wow, loads of comments, actually. Loads of comments. Right, lots of comments over on YouTube here, guys. Hang on. Right, there's loads of comments about people are talking to themselves. So let me just have a little swizzle on this and try and figure out what we're talking about here. Right, we talked about the rabies thing. We've talked about the rabies thing. Yeah, it was something that happened in Morocco, and it happened when she got back. Malcolm Lewis over on YouTube is saying they might use bunker busters to collapse the entrance to these facilities, trapping them inside. Yeah, so most bunkers will have an emergency exit, 2 emergency exits. Also, a lot of bunkers have digging equipment inside the bunkers. Remember, guys, okay, when we're talking about these bunkers, they're not the bunkers like what's that guy? Is it Atlas Survival? Is it Atlas Survival on YouTube? Is it or is it Atlas Shelters or something? I can't remember what it is, but like when we think of a bunker, we think of like this little thing. They're not the thing, guys, right? Imagine a town or a city dug underground. You've got food, fuel, energy, you've got water, you've got life support, you've got everything you need in there for 6, 12, 24 months. Who knows how long these guys can stay underground for? As well as that, you're going to have digging equipment, you're going to have dump trucks, you're going to have forklift trucks, you know, and all that sort of stuff to dig yourselves out. Okay, so collapsing the entrance on one of these bunkers and leaving people inside, it's not going to work. You need boots on the ground. Paul Sullivan is saying correct, because they have only tested them once in a desert in the United States, so the terrain in Iran is totally different. Yes, it is. It will require more than 7 to be effective. And the base, the American bombers are within range of Iran missiles. The bombs are GPS guided. So GPS can be spoofed, guys. You can spoof GPS. By spoofing GPS, what I mean is you can send signals so that GPS thinks it's somewhere else. This happened to the, can you guys remember when I think it was last year, again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on here live and I'm answering your questions live in real time. I don't know what the questions are going to be, and I'm giving you real-time answers. So please like, follow, subscribe, tap the screen, all those things that help this channel grow. So, yeah, when we're talking about GPS-guided munitions, GPS signal can be spoofed. This happened to the British Defence Minister, the Tory one, last year. He was travelling somewhere, and it came out, or you can check this on the mainstream, that the private jet that they were flying in, the GPS started giving false readings. We know this is happening. It's happening in Ukraine. The Russians have that capability. I would speculate that if the Russians have it, then other countries have it. So GPS guided munitions are not that accurate, especially when you're spoofing them. Keiston Baraktar is saying, is it true there's an Israeli military base next to the hospital? I wouldn't know about that. I've no idea about the about no, I've no idea. Maybe it's a military hospital next to it. I don't know. The UK Attorney General says no, it's an illegal act. Yeah, so I'm just going to pin this on YouTube. So in the United Kingdom, the Attorney General has been saying, in fact, you know what? Let me fact check this, because I don't actually think he said this, but I think, and I need to be quite clear. So let me just write. Right, so what he's actually saying is, Attorney General warns UK joining war in Iran may be illegal. And again, look, ladies and gentlemen, what we're seeing here is what I've been saying for over a year. The United Kingdom isn't going to get involved in the Middle East. There's nothing the UK can contribute in this conflict. If the United Kingdom get involved, it's only going to slow the United States down. And I don't mean, and that's not anything detrimental to British troops. That's detrimental to, if you've got 2 commanders, 2 systems, 2 bunches of kit, it's always harder to administer, to command and control. You know, so that's why it's just not going to happen. And what you're seeing now is more people coming out and saying, you know, that the United Kingdom is not going to get involved, which they're not. So you what it Chenin right, John Anderson saying, so you what it Chennai Mountain, which would be the United States, where NORAD is, which was their it used to be their nuclear command. I would speculate that the real nuclear command in the United States will be in a secret base that we just don't know about. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to, yes, sorry, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something like Chennai Mountain. Am I saying that right? Chennai Mountain. So I would say yes. The Iranians would have done something like that. And then yeah, so they're just talking about it was used to to withstand a direct nuclear strike. Paul Sutherland is saying the GRU-35 uses GPS targeting to strike the target. So even if, guys, listen, even if we know, even if Maverick himself flies over there with his munitions, all right, and he's got all these GPS guided bombs, all right. First of all, the GPS can get spoofed. The GPS can come off track, and it happens. We know it happens. We know whole areas can be GPS denied. All right. So global positioning system, you would use satellites, and a satellite would send a little signal to your device. It would calculate the time that signal's taken, and it would say, right, to that satellite, it took that amount of time. To this satellite, it took that amount of time. To that satellite, it took this amount of time. I know where those satellites are, so I must be here. That's how GPS works. Now, you can deny whole areas of GPS. It's a thing, guys, all right? It's a thing. Go and Google, like, operating in GPS denied areas. These things happen. It's why drones have to have gyroscopes on them. It's why you have to have visual references. It's why you have to have AI using ground references, all right? So GPSs, I would say, would be spoofed. Ground references, the technology is not where it should be, guys, okay? Ground references, using ground references. So basically using a normal camera with AI looking at ground references. It's kind of like having a pilot on that graph. Again, unless you've got really good quality maps of that area, that AI it struggles as well. But even with all that, ladies, wow, there's so many comments. Guys, there's so many comments on YouTube, so many comments on, so Ben Mackey saying you need to caffeinate. You know what, you're right, ladies and gentlemen, listen. So many, like, the YouTube comments is going absolutely bonkers. The YouTube comments is going absolutely bonkers, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to nip off screen. I'm going to caffeinate. When I get back in about less than 30 seconds, we're going to be talking about how La Raven, how I would put boots on the ground in Iran. Guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to caffeinate and I will be right back. But while I'm away, ladies and gentlemen, tap the screen, like, follow, subscribe, buttons down below, buttons up at the side, all those things that help this channel grow. Oh. Oh, God. Oh, mission failed. Abort. Oh, abort. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I made it with cold water. I can't do that, guys. I can't do that. Right. So yesterday on the live stream, we had some guy on there, and he was thinking he was an expert, and he was saying you can't invade Iran because of its geography. And guys, listen, it really wound me up, because there's no country on earth, there's no country or planet that can't be invaded. It just depends how much manpower you're willing to invest. So if we think about the Middle East right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have got, or there is a friendly country, Oman. So there's a friendly country called Oman, and that is just off the south coast of Iran. So again, I don't know if you know the geography, but if you think about sailing in through, like, it's the Gulf of Oman. So if you guys think about sailing in through the Gulf of Oman, and then you've got, like, the I want to say the Suez Canal, the Strait of Hormuz. Just before you get there, that would be Oman, and that would be where I would start to build up my forces. Now, in the south of Oman, you've got there's a little town called Thumrait, which is just north of another town called, maybe a city called Salalah. Now, Thumrait there's a huge air base in Thumrait, so I would use Thumrait to forward mount all my troops. I'd forward mount all my troops in Thumrait. At whatever point I deem necessary, I would then get them in ships, get them in amphibious landing craft, sail them to Muscat. From Muscat, I would sail over the Gulf of Oman, and I would just make a beachhead on the, like, it's what the US Marines do, guys. It's what Marines do. They make beachheads. I would get them in, I would make a beachhead, and then I'll just push forwards from there, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a hard, it's tactically, it's not hard. The only thing is your window of opportunity is your window of opportunity and your area of and your likely area of your likely strike point is very limited. So there's like a patch of land where Iran is. So there's Iran, and there's this patch of land before you get to the Strait of Hormuz. It has to be in there somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be in there somewhere. So that's where, that's where the invasion, I would speculate, where land invasion would come. Remember, I've been saying for the longest time, boots on the ground, March 2026. Right, I'm going to jump up and get these comments on TikTok now, guys. I'm going to jump over to TikTok. Right, Coral Reefing is saying rather aliens than zombies. Iran's bunkers are giving me a Thunderbirds vibe, says April Lee. April, yes, yes, imagine Thunderbirds. Imagine Thunderbirds, that's what I'd say. Daniel Payne saying zombies. I've picked my team for years, so Daniel Payne's got a good zombie apocalypse team. Debbie Doos, you're halfway to 50,000. That's the target, guys. Keep tapping. Attack on Israeli hospital, says Debbie Doobs. Right, I will look at the news in a minute, guys. We'll look at the news in a minute once I've got all these comments. Linda Lewis saying Chennai Mountain, isn't that where the Stargate is kept? I don't know. Maybe it's where the Stargate is kept. Maybe it's where the Stargate was all along. And then Lulsway saying, I'm flying to Joe's, Greece on Wednesday. Do you think it will be safe? Yeah, I mean, Greece is like, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if anywhere is going to get closed down, I think it's going to be, yeah. I mean, I think if any airspace is going to get closed, and this is why, like, if anybody's traveling to Cyprus, I would say you really need to, like, have a think about that. I would say to Cyprus, southern Turkey, maybe Azerbaijan, those type of places. I would say there's a likelihood that the airspace gets closed. And again, it's not going to get closed forever. It's not always, it's not going to be catastrophic. And with that, guys, listen, just again, like, get yourselves insurance. Get yourselves insurance. Always get yourselves that insurance. And make sure that your insurance will cover your hotel stay. It'll cover your food, accommodation, and flights back. Make sure it covers that, okay, guys? Right, Sammy is saying, is Dubai safe? Yes, Dubai is safe. What about Egypt? It depends where in Egypt, guys. Look, okay, if we just look at that region, all right? Look at that whole region. Like, Dubai is literally across the water from Iran. It's just over there, it's really close to Saudi Arabia. It's really close to where they're flying stuff. I would say, yes, it is safe. Dubai's not a threat to anyone, all right? But, you've just got to look at what's happening around the world and, and make your own, make your own assessment. Right, I'm just going to jump onto YouTube, guys. The comments are going bonkers on YouTube, so I'm just going to have to jump to the bottom, guys, okay? Ben Mack on YouTube is saying, are you a crow, Raven? Are you a crow? So a crow in the military is something you call someone who's only just joined and doesn't have much experience. I don't know. Maybe a crow in what? A crow in what? In what? Keistan Baraktar is saying over on YouTube, Sean, I've seen videos on Twitter of a downed Israeli jet which looks like an F-16. There are also reports of F-35 shot down. Lockheed Martin stocks have dropped down. I don't know right now, guys. Listen, I don't know what's confirmed. I couldn't tell you what's confirmed. I'm not a fan, personally. I'm not a fan of stealth technology. I don't think stealth technology is as good as people think. I don't think stealth technology is something that people should be relying on as much as they do. So I'm not a big fan of stealth anyway. And I think I personally think the F-35 it's massively overpriced, guys. I do. I think they should have just left it with the F-35, F-22 Raptor, but they weren't making any money and they needed another product, and they needed another product to sell to export because the F-22 Raptor can't be exported. So I would say that yes, that the likelihood of aircraft being shot down over Iran is high. Can I confirm it? No, because both sides will be making things up. The Israelis will be saying, no, nothing's been shot down. All our aircraft have come back intact. Everything's fine. We've taken no losses. The Iranians will be saying, yeah, we've shot down loads of aircraft. All our facilities are still intact. The attacks on Iran have been absolutely pointless. So both sides will be, throwing their propaganda machines into high readiness. Hang on. Where's that comment gone? What's just happened? What's just happened? Oh, there we are. Right. Ben Mack is saying section attacks, Raven. I don't know what that means. Ben Mack is saying, Ben Mack, do I know you? Ben Mack is saying section attacks, Raven. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't think there's going to be many section attacks in Iran initially. I think there's going to be a lot of airstrikes, a lot of special forces, a lot of calling artillery in. Right, I'm just pinning a comment here on YouTube. It says, check out the Cargo Lux statement on their website. Right, I don't know what Cargo Lux is, but I'm just going to go Cargo Lux now. Cargo Lux Airlines, I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. Important notice, we are aware of the recent information statement circulating on social media regarding Cargo Lux flights allegedly to be used in Iranian airspace. Based on the data received on a publicly available app, Cargo Lux would like to categorically state that none of its flights utilize Iranian airspace. These incorrect assertions appear to be made as a result of the projected trajectories shown on Flight Radar 24. When an aircraft signal is lost due to jamming, and does not reflect the actual flight path of the aircraft. So straight away, guys, we know that jamming is happening, GPS spoofing is happening. I think that's what we're talking about. These projected trajectories are used to create a false narrative about the flight path landing in Iran. Detailed information on the limitations of Flight Radar 24 when aircraft fly into airspace where jamming or spoofing takes place. Again, guys, listen, I'm telling you these things that are happening in real time. I don't look online and quickly search out things. What we're reading now, thanks for the comment from Cooler Bear. From the comment that Cooler Bear's just thrown out there on YouTube, it's just literally confirming what I was saying about GPS spoofing. So we've done that. Right, let me close that down. Oh, no, and then Cooler Bear, hang on. And then Cooler Bear is saying they're lying. The flights were coming from China and turning off their transponders over Iran. Okay, so look, guys, I don't know if they're lying or not. All I'm saying is what Koala Bear, is saying over on YouTube, that this company, Cargo Lux, has been flying into Iran from China, turning off their transponders. Guys, listen, I have to caveat this. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not saying anyone's not telling me the truth. I'm just saying that this is one of the comments on YouTube. Right. Let me jump up and, in fact, hang on. Let me just check this, guys, because I just want to check what has actually been happening, because normally while we're on the live, there being things happen, and sometimes I miss that. Right, so yeah, I will open this one. Right, Israel-Iran conflict live. Hospital in southern Israel extensively damaged by Iran missile. I'm looking at pictures now, and yes, it's definitely looks like there's a hospital damaged. Hospital in southern Israel hit by Iranian missile. Soroka Hospital in the southern Israeli city of Beersheba has been hit by a ballistic missile, Israeli officials have said, after Iran launched its latest wave of retaliatory airstrikes on the country. Unverified footage on social media showed people running through corridors filled with dust and detritus, and doctors standing outside amid wreckage from the building. A direct hit has been reported on the hospital, southern Israel. More details to follow, and that was from the Israeli Foreign Ministry, and they posted that on X. So it does look like there's been a hospital hit. China, guys, a little bit of breaking news from China. China urged countries in the Middle East, especially Israel, to cease fighting on Thursday after fresh exchanges with Iran and the US. President Donald Trump warned he was weighing in on US military action in the conflict. Listen, guys, I'm going to go back to what I previously said. The United States, with all their might, with all the Air Force they've got, they're not going to be able to mission complete this from the air. It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to need boots on the ground. You're going to need US Rangers, Special Forces, whoever. You're going to need those guys to go in and physically close those facilities down. Now, whether you agree with closing the closing of those facilities or not, you guys can't, that's totally up to you. But what I'm saying is the only way to do it is to have boots on the ground, because these, and as we've just said previously, as we just spoke about, these bunker busters, these so-called deep penetrating munitions, they don't work as effective as they're claimed. It's like anything, guys. Okay, the manufacturer will always claim that these things work under the best case scenario, under the best conditions. Now, in a conflict, guys, all right, the pilots are not going to be able, they're not going to have GPS to operate with. Yes, they're going to have advanced artificial intelligence and ground mapping, sight aperture radar, forward-looking infrared. They're going to have all this stuff, but they are going to be heavily hindered by the Iranian counter electronic warfare department, or whatever they call themselves. Right, I'm just going to get some comments on. Just going to get these comments on TikTok, and then we will talk about the boots on the ground potential. Right, where are we? We've done that. Danny Boy is saying what about Egypt? Sharm el Sheikh. So Sharm el Sheikh. So Danny Boy, are you thinking about going to Egypt and like Sharm el Sheikh? Because I know that a lot of Russians go to Sharm el Sheikh. They do. A lot of Russians go to Sharm el Sheikh and take holidays in Sharm el Sheikh. So, like, my main concern about going to Sharm el Sheikh wouldn't be like a foreign power coming in and seizing you for whatever reason. My main concern about going to Sharm el Sheikh would be the amount of Russians that are like, I need to be very careful what I'm saying. Look, in fact, you know what, Danny Boy, I'm not even going to say anything about that. All I'm going to say is that a lot of Russians go on holiday in Sharm el Sheikh, and I don't think I can get a live ban for saying that Russians go tapping on Russians go on holiday actually in Sharm el Sheikh, which is true. Welcome to Sean's travel agency. Yeah, listen, guys, should I start charging for travel? Maybe we should open up a little travel agency. I'm off to the USA in October. Guys, April, go to the United States. The United States is probably one of the safest countries in the world right now. Nobody's attacking the United States, not for at least 100 years. Right, Little Sue is saying, I'm staying at home. I've started hibernating. Yeah, guys, listen. So while we've got these global conflicts, remember, if you live in the United Kingdom, the summer of carnage is literally day by day approaching. I mean, what have we got now? We've got less than. I mean, we've got like a month, haven't we? Like, when are the kids off school? Like, yeah, like a month. In fact, this is a month today. It's a month tomorrow, is it? I think it's a month tomorrow. The kids break up for school, and that's when I do think you're going to start see things happening in the United Kingdom. Priv Caro is saying, hello, have I missed much? So we have been talking about the potential use of bunker busters in Iran and how I've been saying they're going to be relatively ineffective against what the Iranians have. My daughter and her mum are going to Sharm el Sheikh. Oh, do you know what, Danny boy? I can remember what was happening. I can't remember what. I think when was it the Arab Spring? Was it the Arab Spring? I think it was the Arab Spring. Hang on. Yeah, I think it was the Arab Spring in 2000. Yeah. So in 2011, the Arab Spring, which was the Arab Spring in Egypt, also known as the 2011 Revolution, was a series of popular protests, demonstrations, and uprising that led to the ousting of President Hosni Mubarak after nearly 30 years. So, like in 2011, when this was happening, my sister phoned me up. She says, "Sean," I said, "What?" She says, "I've got an all-inclusive." I said, "Where to?" She says, "Egypt." I said, "You sure?" She says, "It's 200 quid." I said, "Yeah, but it's like the Arab Spring. There's revolutions. There's people getting overthrown." She said, 200 quid, 200 quid, Sean. And that was it. She went and she was absolutely fine. These tourist regions, they are relatively protected by the government because they don't want to lose that income, because that income, they pay taxes and people earn a lot of money. Like I said, guys, Egypt, a lot of Russians go on holiday in Egypt. And then Kaz is saying, yeah, look, Kaz is just reiterating one of the things I normally say here. The Arab Spring kicked off quickly. It was literally within hours that everybody went nuts. Yeah, I actually had a friend, one of my American friends. He was actually in Cairo having a coffee. He was actually in Cairo. He was sat at a coffee, having a coffee, in Cairo having a coffee. I don't know exactly where. And he said he was just witnessing all this craziness happen in front of him. And it was like, hey man, it was wild. Hey Sean, I'm in Cairo, bro. Look at this. And he video called out, like, dude, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, man, I'm getting some good footage. But yeah, I missed JR actually. I've not spoken to him for a while. I might hit him up. But yeah, like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, everything's fine until it's not. And this is where we are at the moment, guys. This is literally where we are at the moment. We are at a location where everything's fine, but it's bubbling under. And when it's not, it's going to happen quick. And what do I say? I say we're going to wake up Monday and go to bed. Do you know what? We'll probably wake up Thursday and go to bed Monday and think, wow, what a wild weekend. I mean, we're seeing this, aren't we? You know how I say things happen quickly? Look how quickly things have deteriorated between Israel and Iran. Like, look how quickly that happened. Airstrike, missile strike, saxophone. Airstrike, missile strike, saxophone. Like, you see how mad it's gone? And Corey Reefin is saying strange. In fact, you know what? I'm just going, yeah, Corey Reefin is saying it's strange how holiday destinations are disappearing and it's being getting filled with Russians and Germans. Look, guys, I mean, for me, listen, guys, when I go on holiday, I like immersing myself in another culture. So when I go to the Middle East, when I work in the Middle East, I will immerse myself in Middle Eastern culture. I will, I will go out there. I will go to a local store. I'll buy local clothes and I'll try and fit in and I will be like a guest in that country. I'll try and learn the language. I'll try and do as much as I can to assimilate into that culture. So I do like these other cultures. When I'm going on holiday, I don't want Blackpool but hot. I want to immerse myself in another culture. Oh, listen, and Debbie Doobs is saying, I am okay with my caravan, thank you. Do you know what, Debbie Doobs? My sister, again, I'm talking about my sister on this live. My sister's gone to the caravan. I think she went yesterday. She says, you know what, I'm going to caravan, Sean. I'm not coming back till Monday. And it's part of British culture, isn't it? Go to the caravan at the seaside. And Sharon Owen is saying, hey, I'm around just doing some house repairs, up a ladder, painting my ceiling. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to give Sharon Owen now a little bit of painting advice. And it was something that, again, I'm just seeming to be talking about my sister and her husband lately. I was doing some painting the other, you know what, not the other day, like last month or something. But ladies and gentlemen, I will be talking about munitions. We will be talking about invasion and boots on the ground. We'll be talking about the latest updates from the Middle East and the Summer of Carnage. But let me get this off my chest first, because this is important to Sharon Owen. Okay, I went around to my sisters, and they'd been doing some decorating, and I said I'm doing some painting in the house. Do you know what? I was actually staining one of the walls, some wood some wood paneling on the wall. And my sister said to me, have you used like the foam brushes, like the sponges? And I said, what? She said, honestly, use a sponge. And I thought, that's ridiculous. I'm just going to use a brush. Anyway, I went to like B&M or something. I was buying some paint brushes, and I saw this pack of foam brushes. Like, they're in there. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're doing any painting, use a foam sponge. Use a sponge, because using those sponges for painting, it's just another world, ladies and gentlemen. Using this. Oh, Kenzie has subscribed for the first time. Guys, thank you so much to all the subscribers. Thank you so much. Each and every one of you guys, really appreciate you guys, okay? Absolutely fantastic. And I can't say this enough, for you guys who subscribe, you really do keep this channel going, because we want to give you guys the best content. We want to let you guys what's happening next. We want to let you guys know what is coming in the future. So thank you so much, Kenzie, for your subscription. But yeah, we're talking about painting there, guys. We will come on to what's happening in Iran and the Middle East in a second. Saw a video of the president of Israel saying since '95 that Iran has been weeks away from nukes. Again, this is one of the old things, isn't it? I don't think that right now, I don't think the truth matters. I think it's perception of the truth that really matters. Kenzie is saying, did you hear that Britain is considering joining the war if the US goes in? Let me pin that. I genuinely, guys, okay, I don't see any scenario or any chain of events that would lead to that happening. I mean, can you imagine how many votes Labour would lose? Just think about the votes that Labour would lose. It's well documented that Labour have a huge Muslim voting base. So can you imagine if Labour gave the green light for British troops, British boots on the ground, for example, in Iran? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how many votes they would lose? So I would say the likelihood of that, regardless, again, I'm going against what all mainstream media are saying, I would say the likelihood is very low. The likelihood is very low of British troops getting involved in this conflict. And Debbie Doobs is saying Starmer will do what Trump tells him to. Yes, he will. But remember, this conflict in Eastern Europe, that also needs dealing with. So I'm pretty confident that Trump has told Starmer to deal with that conflict. And remember, by Starmer, he doesn't actually mean Starmer, he means the military and those fantastic young men and women that we have in uniform. So that's what I think's happened. And again, there's nothing that the United Kingdom can contribute to that area, guys. There's nothing. The United Kingdom cannot meaningfully contribute to that. Cannot meaningfully contribute. Right, I'm just going to go on to the YouTube comments, guys. From Jamie. Jamie is saying, Sean, as a man who loves a prophecy, maybe keep an eye on the Dome of the Rock being accidentally hit to make room for the third temple. Yeah, so remember, guys, the slaying of the red heifer, the third temple, the Dome on the Rock. It's claimed that the building of the third temple right now, where I think it's Alaska Mosque is, as Jamie's saying, it could be that a stray missile hits the Alaska mosque, you know, it takes down the mosque, and then, you know, we rebuild a new temple, a third temple, Solomon's temple, and that would usher in the beginning of the Antichrist. Maybe it's true, guys. You know, there is a lot of, it's hard not to see the biblical prophecy right there in front of us. But again, you have to take a step back and you have to think, right, okay, is this really biblical prophecy coming true? Or is it people pushing for biblical prophecy because they know they will get support from a huge base if that huge base think that this is biblical prophecy coming true? I genuinely don't know the answer, guys. I am literally like, I'm genuinely, guys, I think I'm 50-50. I could argue confidently for both sides. Max C is saying Iran bordering a NATO country, a NATO member could be a disaster. Yeah, so obviously we're talking about Turkey there. So the northwest of the northwest of Iran borders Turkey. I don't think that's where it's coming from, guys. Listen, I think if there's going to be an invasion, I think it's going to come from Oman. It's going to come from the south. It's going to come from that south coast. Yes, of course, you know, Turkey is a NATO member, but I don't think NATO is worth the paper it's written on. I think the United States is going to they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on NATO. I would struggle to see how you could build up that many troops in Turkey. I just don't see it, guys. I really don't see it. There may be some small military contingent on that southeastern coast of Turkey. I just don't see it, guys. I think the main troop buildup will be in Oman. Right, Kenzie is saying Britain is considering joining the. Right, let me just Google this, guys, because I don't see any likelihood of this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just join. Starmer considers whether. Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Right, okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going against what all the mainstream media are talking about now, okay? I'm going against it. So this is the headline, okay? Starmer considers whether to support US if Trump joins Israel in war on Iran. It's not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen. Overtly, it's not going to happen. There may be some air-to-air refueling where they're going to say, oh, we didn't refuel Israeli, we blah, 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 and they're going to flim-flammer it. But on the surface, guys, there is going to be no overt involvement by the United Kingdom in this conflict in the Middle East. First of all, we have a massive Muslim population in the United Kingdom. That's going to cause them to protest. Those protests could turn bad. Also, you could have, the Labour government would lose a lot of votes from that same demographic. Militarily, there's nothing that Britain can contribute, guys. There's nothing in that region that Britain can contribute. There is there's a small base on a large base, if that makes sense. There's a small UK base in the south of Oman, just north of Salalah. That's where I think the forward mounting would come from. So I think that the US military would fly their troops into that region. They would then do their pre-deployment training there and their acclimatization. They would do it in Oman, and then March 2026. That's when I'm seeing it happen, guys. Okay, I don't see the United Kingdom's involvement because of that, basically. And again, you know, we've got the other conflict. Excuse me. We've got the other conflict brewing, guys, in Ukraine, whereby the United Kingdom does seem to be taking the lead now with this coalition of the willing. And if the United Kingdom is militarily involved in Ukraine, that would give the US some control. Because, guys, listen, whether you believe it or not, the British military and the US military, the militaries are like It's the same. They're very interchangeable. In Afghanistan, in Iraq, they would share target packs. They would share operational command. And so they're it's literally kind of this. They have a lot of degrees of operability. Also, the intelligence services, they work closely together. So if the UK is leading in Ukraine, that means that the United States would of course have some influence, right? So I just don't see it happening, guys. And then we've got Koala Bear at this point. Koala Bear saying, Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier is in the Suez Canal right now. Listen, guys, I'm going to stick by what I said. The United Kingdom is not going to get involved militarily. Yes, of course, the United Kingdom, Great Britain will defend their assets in that region, i.e., RAF Akateria. And then Keyston Barrett on you should be saying, Sean, do you think an aircraft carrier could stop a hypersonic missile? It depends what we mean by stop. Are we talking about the aircraft carrier itself with the defenses it's got on it? Probably not. But could the aircraft that are on that aircraft carrier, could they stop a hypersonic missile? I would say yes, if they had the right munitions on there. Right, and then Moro Krav is saying, at this point, you might want to think of making some sort of general advice business on anything and everything. Yeah, right, I'm just going to jump on the comments on TikTok, guys, and then I'm going to close this down. Right, there are so much resources pulled to the Middle East. I feel like we have to keep an eye on Putin. The resources that are being taken into the Middle East are mainly US resources. The conflict in Ukraine is going to be mainly a land. It's going to be mainly a land war. There isn't really that much of a naval. In fact, there's more or less zero naval assets that can even be effective there. You'd need to get them into the Black Sea, which is difficult. You could have them off the coast of Turkey, but then there really isn't any point because of the range. So any naval assets, any air assets that are moved into the Middle East, it's not going to affect the capacity of Ukraine. Danny Boy is saying, me and my daughter was listening last night on the way home from martial arts. I think that's what we're talking about. And she said, what's overtly? Well, I hope you told her. I hope you told her, Danny Boy. I hope you told her about it. Danny Boy. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to close TikTok down now. The crux of today's video, the crux of today's live stream was bunker busting, air assaults, air launch munitions are not going to be effective in Iran for the reasons I've just told you. The boots on the ground into Iran that I believe is going to happen March 2026. Well, that's the earliest I believe it can happen. I might be wrong; it might happen earlier. The boots on the ground into Iran has to come from the south coast. In fact, let me just get a map up and give you. It has to come from the south coast. I would speculate that the US military would forward operate their troops in a place called Thumrait, which has a huge airbase that's used by Western nations. They would do their pre-deployment training. They would do their Right, guys, listen, I am going to cut TikTok off now. I don't know if I'm still streaming. I am going to cut it off now, guys. I think it's glitching. Anyway, guys, listen, if you've not done so already, like, follow, hit the subscribe button, whatever you can to help this channel grow, guys, okay? I'm going to turn TikTok off now, and I'm going to be over on YouTube for a couple of minutes. So off is off now. We are off now. We are off TikTok now, guys, and we are just streaming on YouTube. We are just streaming on YouTube now, ladies and gentlemen. So we are on. Right, so do I think the hypersonic could be stopped by? Yeah, we've talked about that. And look, guys, okay, again, I just want to reiterate that the thing that I've been saying the thing that although the mainstream, they want to, and again, guys, I get accused of being inflammatory and trying to like glorify things. So when but I tell you guys what's coming. We are heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale. Like, it can't be stopped now. What's coming is an inevitability in my eyes, anyway. So I do think this Friday, because it's a Friday, it's the solstice. I do think there's going to be a new a new evolution in this conflict. Now, whether that's the United States getting involved, it's very difficult to understand at this point, because things are moving so quickly. Things are so dynamic. Things are happening quickly, and you don't get gist of them. Behind the scenes, there will be everybody talking to everybody behind the scenes. But a lot of this is noise, because you will get a senior advisor who doesn't really know much. He wants to go and do a press conference, and he says something. The mainstream media get wind of it. Kind of doesn't matter. If you take a step back and take a wide view of things. In fact, let me get a map up. If we take where was it? Have I closed it down? I think I closed it down. No, I think there is. So if you take hang on. I don't know what just happened. Right. If we take a step back, and look at this whole region, you've got Iran, you've got Israel, and then above them you've got Ukraine. Militarily, there's nothing that the UK can contribute to a conflict with Iran. Militarily, there's a lot that the UK can contribute to the conflict in Ukraine. Already, the United Kingdom have already taken the lead role. The Ukrainians are very pro-UK. A lot of Ukrainians are starting to cast doubt on America. So now you see the UK gaining credibility, the United States losing credibility already in Kiev, already in Ukraine. So that direction of travel, it's already happened. It's 2025, and the UK is now leading the coalition of the willing in Ukraine. So there's nothing that the UK can contribute, in a naval conflict, in amphibious assaults. It would just be a waste of time, guys. Okay. Paul Sullivan is saying, Paul Sullivan over, you know what, we're only on YouTube now. So Paul Sullivan is saying sleepers are coming soon. Yeah, and people don't understand the threat of sleeper cells. So all Iran would need to do is say, all Muslim sleeper cells must activate now, or, you must all fight against like the infidel or whatever. And, you would see an uptick. You would literally see an uptick. Like right now in the United Kingdom, we've got people in hotels. We don't know who they are. That's all I'm going to say, guys. We have a lot of people in hotels. We don't know who they are because, they've come to the United Kingdom with no documentation. They've not come the legal route, so we don't know who these people are in hotels. And we're getting right now, the weather's relatively good in the United Kingdom. We're getting a lot of people per day. I think yesterday was 800. I think the day before that we reached 1,000. At some point, guys, we are going to see 2,000 people hit our shores in one day. And when you think about that, that's like £40,000 a year for each one of those people. That's what the taxpayers are paying. That's what you and me are paying. It's not sustainable, guys. It's going to come it's going to come down at some point. Keistan Baraktar, Sean, what you said about UK and Russia, I believe Russia will back Iran, which will be an excuse for UK to go to war in Eastern Europe. Well, I think behind the scenes, so there's been a few things happening with Russia and Iran. So first of all, Russia and Iran are strategic allies. They're commercial partners. But the signals coming out of Russia at the moment have not been what I would expect. So they are partners. They are going to be partners. I don't think that the Russians are going to get involved in Iran. I think somebody said something behind the scenes whereby the Americans don't get involved in Ukraine and the Russians don't get involved in Iran. Right, Carolina is saying, you've trained us to realize bad things happen on a Friday. Yeah, guys, look, again, I keep saying this, and it's not because, it's because people can, the main reason, there's two reasons. There's a financial reason and there's a strategic reason. The strategic reason is people skive on a Friday. They do. All over the world, people skive on a Friday. I mean, like, you would be shocked to see some of the security lapses that I've seen in various locations on a Friday, like really bad ones. And you can make a ton of money on the stock market. And again, I gave this example. So say that, I don't know. Do you know what? I actually think I gave this example before it happened. And the example I gave was, imagine if an oil pipeline, say, and I don't know if this even exists, but say that say that an oil facility in Iran was damaged, and that made the only game in town the oil facility in Saudi Arabia, and you knew that that oil facility was going to get damaged. Wouldn't it make sense for you to invest heavily in the oil facility that's about to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x its share price? So if you're sat there in the office and you're doing your planning, would you do it on a Wednesday when the stock market can still operate? Or would you do it on a Friday when the stock market is closed and then there's a bigger readjustment at the other end and a bigger drop or fall, and your bet you can make more money? So, like, you see where I'm going, guys, yeah? You see where I'm going? So, like, to leave it till Friday when the stock market's closed in whatever country that's going to affect, you can make a ton of money. So you're going to do the strike anyway. Probably got more likelihood of succeeding on a Friday because people skive. And you can make a ton of money if you do it on a Friday. Like, that's just the reality. It's not because there's some sort of, like, hidden guru behind the scenes who's like, it must happen on a Friday. But, ladies and gentlemen, this particular Friday is the summer solstice. So, I'm just saying it is an esoteric day. And then Carolina Ritchie is saying maybe the sleeper cells have got the go-ahead. I think the sleeper cells might have already been given the go-ahead. And I firmly believe many of these boat people could be sleepers. Yeah. And again, like, what you've got to think about is what's the deterrence? If you live in a hotel right now, you get given your food, you've got 4 walls, you've got a bed, and you're surrounded by dudes. If you're in prison, you get given your food, you've got 4 walls, you've got a bed, and you're surrounded by dudes. Like, you see where I'm going, guys, all right? You see where I'm going? There are a lot of threats, guys, in the United Kingdom. There are a lot of potential strike points. I talked about military bases the other day, and people were saying, if anybody tries to get on a military base, they'll be shot on sight. I'm like, what? What? Really? Is that what people think? So all of a sudden, if you're trespassing on a military base, you can get shot? That's not the case at all. That is not the case. Those guards in the military bases, yes, they are armed, heavily armed. I mean, really heavily armed. But you can't just shoot at people. You can't just shoot at people willy-nilly. I mean, what if it's a kid and they're lost? What if there's a genuine reason for that person to be on that base and they're genuinely lost? What if they've been attacked and they're a victim of some sort of crime and they're trying to seek refuge? So you can't just open fire. What would happen, guys? And I gave this analogy the other day. Just imagine now, and I gave the airfield analogy. But this could be anything. It could be an air base. It could be a logistics base that's got a certain type of logistical carrier that is very specific for a certain piece of equipment. But imagine now, right? A coach full of protesters turn up. Let's just say a coach full of pro-Palestine protesters turn up. It's just as, guys, if you're watching the UK media, it's got just as much likelihood of being like, I don't know, a right wing patriotic group, and they're all there in their George's crosses or whatever. But just imagine this, guys, okay? The protesters turn up, unexpected. There's 100, 200, 300 of them. Coaches turn up outside the perimeter fence of an airfield that's got a very expensive aircraft on. They cut through the, they cut through the chain link fence. They run onto that airfield, and where there's those F-35s, or whatever aircraft, they're just there on the runway. They run up with sledgehammers and they start hitting it. How long do you think it's going to take for somebody to get there? Because this is what will happen. Somebody will say, right, somebody will be on a radio and they'll say, right, guys, we've got a coachload of people turning up to the south perimeter fence. They'll say, right, zoom in on the cameras. So the cameras will be filming it. And they'll say, yeah, there's loads of them getting out. At that point, if you've got a good guard commander, they will probably say, right, get the QRF ready. While this is happening, the people are out there cutting through the fence. It may take 10, 15 minutes for that QRF, the quick reaction force, to get to the gate, to get to the fence where they've made entry. In 10, 15 minutes, guys, they can cut through that gate and run onto that airfield. Absolutely. That can absolutely happen. So then the QRF get there, and it's maybe 2, 4, 6 guys at the most, in maybe 2 Land Rovers. Yes, they're armed. But the rules of engagement are very clear. Threat to life, guys. Unless there's a threat to life, or you feel there's a threat to someone else's life, you can't do anything with those weapons. So they're hitting an F-35 with hammers. Where's the threat to life there, guys? There isn't a threat to life. So what they would do is they would say, yeah, they're trashing the F-35, and then the guard commander would say, go and stop them. What are they going to do? Like, literally, what are 6 guys going to do against hundreds? They're going to do nothing. But again, it might not be an F-35. It could be something at a naval base. It could be something at a arms manufacturing base, which would be potentially easier, but I don't think the optics would be the same. So you understand where we're going, this, guys, and that's why I put out the potential threat level to military bases. When people were saying, the RMPs, the Red Caps would have them all arrested. I'm like, how long is it going to take for that to happen? How long is it going to take for those Red Caps to get on site? How long is it going to take for them to start arresting people? Because they're only going to be able to send 2 Red Caps, and the Red Caps would turn up in the police vehicle, and then the real police would turn up, but the real police would have to come in through the main gate, and it would be carnage, guys, absolute carnage. And I would speculate they would have at least 30 minutes to do whatever they wanted to that aircraft, and then they have the pro-Palestine flags, and they're saying, we are peaceful, why aren't you? We are peaceful, why aren't you? And then it would just be a friendly protest, and you see the optics of that, guys. You see how that goes. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, So John Giles is saying, what? So I can go and find a Challenger 3 and I won't be shot. It depends what you're doing with that Challenger 3. If you go and break onto a base and throw a rock at a Challenger 3, I don't think you're going to get shot. I don't think you're going to get shot. If you break onto a base, manage to steal that Challenger 3 and start to drive out of camp, then that could be a threat to life, because that vehicle could be you see where I'm going with this, guys, all right? If you just go onto the base and you start throwing stones at things or hitting things with hammers, no, that's not a threat to life. My 11-year-old asked me about it yesterday. I said, don't worry, whatever happens, we have our planned escape. Good. That's fantastic. My sister still be in the David Lloyd asking where is everyone? What's David Lloyd? Is that a gym? I don't know. I've been on air bases. Paul Sullivan is saying, I've been on air bases. They're pretty good defense. Okay. Yes, if you go through the main gate of an air base, they do have good defense, good security, good checkpoint. You can't get close. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these air bases, potentially, I'm not going to say where they are, secret air bases in the United Kingdom, secret bases that are far away from anyone. Far away from anyone. So, for example, let's just say, I don't know. I'm totally making this up, guys. Let's just say there's an air base. I'm just gonna zoom in somewhere in Scotland. I'm on Google Maps. I'm just gonna zoom in. It doesn't matter. Let's just say there's an air base on the east coast of Scotland. It's a small airbase. It's a secret airbase. It's used for secret military aircraft landing, and they know they can land there because it's out of the way. Nobody knows about it, and they just use that airbase. Russian satellite or near-peer satellite goes over. They're like, U.S. military F-35, F-22, FX, whatever aircraft is on that airbase. Right, get a load of protesters up there now, cut through the fence and destroy that aircraft. Those bases are isolated for a reason. They're isolated so people don't know where they are. But you know what? Satellites going over the United Kingdom all the time. I would speculate, again, that near-peer adversaries, peer adversaries, know exactly where these air bases are, guys, okay? Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close YouTube down. If you're on so far and you've been watching for the whole time, please hit the follow, the like, the subscribe buttons, bell notification down below, all those buttons that help this channel grow. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be closing you guys down now, and I'll be on again later, I hope, at 8 o'clock.